All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another class of PLAR History / Geography here at WASA, live in Silica. Once again, my name is Jonathan. I am your teacher for this course. Hopefully, everyone is doing well on this May the 9th on a Tuesday afternoon or evening. Yes, so we are entering week number 4 of this term 2B. Yes, this is a 9-week term, so we're almost at the halfway point. We should wrap up history a week from today, which is next Tuesday. So again, today our goal is to wrap up lesson number 2. We'll start lesson 3 next class on Thursday. And then again, a week from today, we should wrap things up in terms of the history portion of this course. Okay, so that's the game plan, and then we'll switch gears and look at lesson number 4 and 5, the second portion of this course, which is PLAR geography. Again, like always, you know what to do. That is call in the WASA studio so that you can listen, participate, and learn along with us. Again, you can do that at home, anywhere you want, or at your learning center. Even though your DSC is currently in town for a little workshop that Suzette has arranged. Uh, there could be someone filling in. It should still be open. Who knows? But again, you can call in anywhere, even at home. That same goes for Smart Bridget. Again, log on, see what I'm seeing in terms of my notes, my pictures that we have on our smart board. Again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about this course, History, Geography, PLAR, again, you can always get in touch with me, your teacher Jonathan, by the following: phone call, email, fax, Facebook, in person. Okay, so again, don't hesitate to ask any questions. Again, I'm always here to help. Again, like always, any review materials can be found on the YouTube page, archive. Again, all that will be up there throughout the summer for your learning and your needs as well. Again, another thing, if you need a USB stick, again, with any particular lessons, or you want to just fast track with something, just let me know. I can pop up all the previous class lessons videos on a YouTube stick and ship it to you on the Express for free. Again, that way you don't necessarily need internet connection to continue with your studies. So again, there are no excuses. Don't be like, oh, Jonathan, the internet in my community, it's not the greatest, it doesn't work, therefore I cannot come to class, therefore I cannot submit my work. No, no excuses. Again, I can always get that to you on a USB. Again, all you gotta do is just pop it up on your computer or laptop, open it up, watch it, read it, learn it, and go from there. Okay, so again, just let me know. I can get that set up for you, not a problem. Alrighty. Alright, couple housekeeping items before we begin today's class. Number 1, let's open up a new blank page. Next week, community visit. Yes, I will be going to Big Trout next week. Again, it'll be a overnight trip, just one overnighter. Next week on May. Why do I have June on here? I should be May the 16th till the 17th. Okay, so again, myself along with Andrea and Barry will come there and visit, host a little open house, bring a lot of goodies, refreshments, food, Wausau swag, you name it. It should be a lot of fun. Again, hopefully I can meet Robin, our DC, in Big Trout. Hopefully I can meet many students in Big Trout. Again, whether or not you're working in PLAR, History, Geography, or any other IL courses. Again, I'll be more than happy to tutor you, help you in terms of your study needs. Again, so that's next week on a Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, we should be leaving Tuesday afternoon and coming back Wednesday morning, which means next week's class, a week from today, it will interfere with our class. So class, let's figure that out. I'm gonna give you the choice. You're gonna have the power on this. Okay, so number one, do you want to cancel class and do a makeup class? Okay, do you want to cancel class and do a makeup class? Or option two, do you want me to pre-record the class? Okay. When I mean cancel class, I mean I'm not just gonna cancel class, I should do a makeup class. So again, makeup class. Again, that could be a Friday or that same Tuesday morning. I'll find a time that works with Tom, Bertha, the tech unit, and for the class. But this is your choice, okay? So again, you let me know what you want. I'm gonna do it fairly. I'm gonna vote on this. So again, you can think about it. We won't make a final decision until next class on Thursday. So again, you let me know what you want. Again, even though I am away next Tuesday and parts of Wednesday for a community visit to Big Trout, class will be affected since I am out of town up north. So again, you let me know what you want, okay, class? Cancel class. I'll do a makeup class at a later date. Could be that following Friday or the following week. We'll find time. We could squeeze it in the morning because no teachers or class are running in the morning. So that's a possibility. We can work that out. Or I can just pre-record and then we'll just play it in class during a normal time slot, even though it won't be live. So that's the dilemma. You decide, think about it, and then we'll make a final decision next class this coming Thursday. Okay, we'll decide next class so that if I need to pre-record, I'll need to figure out time to re-record. If not, I need to find a time to do a makeup class. Okay, so again, class, you decide. Okay, student voice, you have the power. You let me know, and we'll figure it out. And yes, the majority will rule in terms of this decision. Okay, so again, I'll bring that up again probably at the end of today's class, and again next class, and then we can decide from there. Okay, but again, it's your choice, it's your class. I'm pretty flexible. You let me know what you want me to do. In the past, I have done both. I have done a makeup class, I have done a pre-recorded class, but again, it's up to you. Okay, class, it's up to you. It's a brand new term. I want your input, your voice. You let me know what you want us to do. Okay, so again, that's in regards to next week community visit. Again, any questions with that, just let me know, but it shouldn't be a big deal. Okay. One final housekeeping item before we move on. Due dates. Yes, we do have a due date. I didn't make this poster, but again, our due date to submit any PLAR work is not this coming Friday, but Friday, June the 16th. Okay, that's the last official day to submit any PLAR work. Again, any work that's submitted after this due date will not be marked until September or after the summer. Again, that's not just PLAR history or geography, but that's for all PLAR as well. Again, that's English, math, science, history, geography. Okay, so again, due dates June the 16th, that's the Friday. Again, that's the last week. That should be week number 9, that following Friday. Okay. Again, any questions in regards to that, just let me know. Talk to your PLAR teachers, and we can sort that out for you. But again, due dates, any tests, assignments, needs to be handed in before this due dates, or won't be marked until later on. Okay. All right. So class, if you had your textbook, you can open up to page 16. That's where we'll begin today's class. We'll be looking at what happened after the Second World War. Okay. So our time period for today's class is around the 1950s, give or take. Again, last class last week, we talked about the conclusion of the Second World War. Again, we wrapped that thing up. So now we're going to look at what happened after the Second World War period in relation to Canada and our countries around the world as well. Okay, so again, that's on page 16. It goes towards page 17. Very short assignment. Again, today we're focusing on assignment number 6. Simple 4 questions. We'll get to that near the end, but again, some definitions, main purpose, functions, but again, our focus for today is assignment number 6. Okay? So again, always continue to work on assignments, chip away at it. Again, this assignment should not take you very long to work on. So today's class is called After the Second World War, and again, it's focused on defense organizations. So that's what we'll be discussing for today's class over the next 60 minutes. So let's get to today's class learning goal, and then I do have a little fun activity to do with the class, and then we'll move along with that. So today, our learning goals is that we will be learning about the actions and responses of Canada to the Holocaust. Again, if you don't remember the Holocaust, make sure you go back, read it in your textbook, or watch it on my YouTube page, or you can listen to it on the archive as well. So again, we're learning about the action and responses of Canada to the Holocaust so that you can decide if Canada is stronger or weaker as a nation. Okay, so we're evaluating and assessing the outcome of the Holocaust and the Second World War period. Our success criteria today is that I am successful when I can define human rights. Again, we'll talk more about that specifically in the geography portion, but we'll touch on it in terms of today. Define human rights. I should also add in the Charter of Rights and Freedom. Next, we'll evaluate the role of anti-Semitism in Canada's policy. Again, that relates to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And we'll assess the role of Canada in protecting human rights. Again, really linking to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Okay, so again, that's our learning goals for today and our success criteria. That's the direction we are heading for today's class. If we do not finish for some strange reason, again, we'll just continue next class. But again, we should finish what we need to finish for today's class. Questions, comments before we begin? So I have a little anticipation guide, something different, something to get us thinking, motivated. The hook for today's class, the mind's on, okay? Our anticipation guide. Again, you can do this by yourself, in groups, in pairs, it doesn't matter. Again, feel free to partner up whoever you have in your learning center or at home with your family member or your neighbor or strangers. Again, make friends. But again, you can feel free to do this on your own as well. So again, there's no right or wrong answer for this. It's just, what do you think? Okay, not what I think, but what do you think? What do you anticipate? Okay, so basically I'm going to read off a little statement in regards to the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms in 1982. Your job is to either say agree or disagree. Again, jot this down on a sheet of paper or on the back of your assignment, but just something for you to start thinking about. Again, there's no right or wrong answer for this. Again, hopefully you can go back and then we can check to see if you're correct or incorrect afterwards. Okay, so again, a little fun anticipation guide that I have found, and I'm going to try it out and see how it works. So the first statement, some of my rights and freedoms in Canada are guaranteed in the Canadian Constitution. Do you agree with that or do you disagree with that? Okay, circle one or the other. Some of my rights and freedoms in Canada are guaranteed in the Canadian Constitution. We'll move on to the next one, okay, which is technically number 3. Aboriginal rights are not included in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Do you agree or disagree? Again, we'll do our best to try to answer some of these specific statements throughout the class, but again, for now, what do you think? Agree or disagree? Yay or nay? Yes or no? Thumb up, thumb down, whatever you want to do it. Next statement, which is number 4 on the screen. Discrimination on the basis of gender, age, disability, or race is prohibited under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Once again, agree or disagree? What do you think? Again, testing your knowledge, see what you know about the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedom. We got 2 more here, which is number 5 on the screen. The Charter guaranteed rights and freedoms to all Canadian citizens, or Canadian citizens only. Agree or disagree? The Charter guaranteed rights and freedoms to Canadian citizens only. Agree or disagree? And lastly, which is number 6 on my screen, the freedom to express thoughts, beliefs, and opinions means that a person has the right to say whatever he or she has on their mind. Agree or disagree? Ooh, that could be a tough one. The freedom of expression, thoughts, belief, and opinions mean that a person has the right to say whatever is on his or her mind. Agree or disagree? Again, just something to get you thinking about. Again, it's okay to disagree with your neighbor, but hopefully we'll try to answer some of these questions. If we don't, hopefully do a bit of research and inquiry skills to find out. Again, any questions, comments? Again, hopefully you have these statements in front of you, and hopefully throughout the class today we can answer some of them. Again, some we will, some we may not necessarily, but again, if you want to discuss more about it, we can certainly do that or do a bit of research as well. All right, we'll skip that. All right, so I'm going to do a bit of background content for the class just to set the scene about what was going on within the 1950s here in Canada and around the world. Again, like I mentioned, World War II concluded in 1945. So what happened afterwards? So from wartime to boom times, something sounds familiar. Canadians enjoyed unprecedented period of prosperity. Only 1/3 were poor. Industries across Canada started to boom once again. There were demand for products, growth in constructions as well. So again, war concluded, which means happy times, seeing family again, being back here in Canada. Things started to increase, boom, and grow. Therefore, supply and demand started to increase as well. But after the Second World War, there were a period of tension that started to emerge, something known as the Cold War. Okay, not the Third World War, but something known as the Cold War. The Cold War is basically a war of words, threats, and spying in search of secrets that will propel one country into a dominance over another. So again, just a lot of tension, fear, anticipation, hearsay of what was going on. But again, there's no actual battle that broke out like we saw during the First World War and the Second World War. Okay. Again, reminder, feel free to call in the WASA studio. Something I would love to say hi to all the students. Again, take that time to log on to Smart Widget as well. Don't forget. But getting back into the Cold War, it was a period between two supernations that emerged during this time period. It was the United States against the Soviet Union, the USSR, otherwise known as modern-day Russia. After the Second World War, The Soviet Union and its political ideology of communism expanded into Eastern Europe. Again, in the United States was more capitalist. The United States had feared that communists would take over the world, which they did not work. Again, communists is all about the means of productions, where the state owns everything, even the private properties, not the individual. Capitalism, again, is when the individual owns property in the states. But again, who am I to decide which ideology is perfect? There were developments of atomic weapons, again, just threats waiting to happen. It was called Deadly Arm Race. Even expanded into outer space as well. There are high level of military being maintained in army as well, even though the Second World War was over. Even though a nuclear bomb could set up at any time, people were in fear and started to build bomb shelter in their backyards. They even practiced ducking in schools as well. Again, this all expanded into outer space where everyone wanted to have the upper hand on one another in terms of technology and advancement, spying on one another, seeing what someone is up to, again, so that even expanded into outer space. In regards to communism, the Berlin Wall was built in 1961 to divide Eastern and Western Europe. Again, the United States and the Soviet Union were considered a superpower. Here in Canada, we were not considered a superpower. We were just known as a middle power or a nation in regards to peacekeeping. So that's what was going on until the 50s and even parts into the 60s as well. So going back to the Holocaust, okay, the Holocaust of what we learned about last class. Okay, Canada and the world witnessed the horror against the Jews in Europe in regards to the Holocaust and anti-Semitism, in regards to the mass genocide that occurred, where roughly estimated 6 million Jews and others were killed and murdered in gas chamber and other means. Again, this sent shockwaves across the world. Therefore, something needs to be done so that this means of the Holocaust or a dark period within world history will not happen again. Canada started to change its laws because of this, where we want to protect human rights. Okay, human rights. So class, what do you think human rights mean? Okay. Any thoughts, comments, human rights? What do you think human rights mean? Again, hope you'll try to answer that as we continue along. But in the 50s and 60s, brought back peace and prosperity. Again, it was a time period of optimism, and it was still a period where Canada was still determining its identity in terms of growth within a nation. So in regards to something needed to be done, what happened? Well, the Bill of Rights in 1958 started first. It was adopted by Canada's Prime Minister John Diefenbaker. The Bill of Rights was simply just a law. It had no more power than any other laws in Canada. It had no provision on official languages. The Bill of Rights was not a part of our Constitution. Again, therefore, it was just another law. Even though the Bill of Rights in 1958 spoke upon fundamental freedoms, legal rights, and equality before the law, however, if a law was discriminatory, the Bill of Rights was not helpful. The Bill of Rights, again, was just a law that only applied to federal law, not provincial laws. So again, even though it talked about fundamental freedoms, of an individual, of a citizen, legal rights, and equality before the law. It was a step in the right direction, but something more needs to be done. So, therefore, you may ask, what happened? Okay, what took place? What emerged from the Bill of Rights in 1958? A few decades later, we have something known as the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Okay, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Very significant moment within the Canadian history. Even though it came out in 1982 under Pierre Trudeau, it relates to what we're talking about in terms of human rights. So I want to just try to add it in terms of this time period. I'm going to call it the Charter for short, but the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So the Charter was entrenched into the Constitution, the Canadian Constitution, in 1982. What does that mean? That means that now the Charter is a part of our Constitution. It is the supreme law of Canada. No one's above the law, not even the police or courts or judges. Everyone's now equal. The Charter of Rights and Freedoms apply to absolutely everyone within Canada. Therefore, Canada is now allowed to make its own rules and changes without permission from Britain. So again, with the Charter in play, Canada now has control over sovereignty in terms of how it wants to govern. Legal rights are now protected. Again, the Charter is the supreme law of Canada. It improves the ability of Canadians to participate in society, as we now know our legal rights and freedoms as a citizen. The Charter also protects against minority and unfair treatment. And again, the Charter applies to everyone where no one is above the law. Again, something that's significant, very, very important. So if you open up your web browser and simply Google the Charter of Rights and Freedom, you have lots of information about it. So if you click on pretty much the first link, that's not Wikipedia, it'll take you to the actual Canadian Constitution of 1982. It's a pretty lengthy document. It's broken up into different sections and subheadings and it just goes on. But this is pretty much the fundamentals of our Constitution, of our legal rights and freedoms as a citizen within Canada. Again, this applies to everyone here in Canada. But again, we're not going into great details about each section and what each subsection and heading means. Again, if you want to explore that, you definitely can. So again, section 1 talks about how it's guaranteed our rights and freedoms, but it is limited in a free and democratic society. Again, we're not going to go into the legal words of what they mean. That's just for another course. Again, section 2 talks about our fundamental freedoms. Again, thoughts, consciousness, religion, beliefs, thoughts, again, all protected here. Okay, so I did kind of summarize what each section or the main points mean. We'll get to that very shortly, but again, on my screen, I have a picture of our Queen Elizabeth and Prime Minister at the time, Pierre Trudeau, signing off on the Charter, which is now a part of our Constitution, which means, again, all that what we just talked about. Again, it's all about equal opportunity, equal rights, and freedoms. So again, within the Charter, it talks about fundamental freedoms. Again, consciousness, religion, thoughts, belief, opinion. You all have that right and entitled to that to a certain extent. You also have democratic rights in terms of right to vote in an election. You have mobility rights to, again, remain in your community, to leave your community, enter or leave different provinces and territories within Canada. You have legal rights, which protects you if you're detained or arrested. Again, you have the right to life, liberty, security of a person. And most importantly, Section 15, you have equality rights, equal protections, equal benefits with no discriminations, regardless of age, sex, gender, physical, mental disability, you name it. Okay. So those are the main themes, main section that the charter outlines. Again, the charter is a lengthy document, as you can tell. It just goes on and on. It can get confusing based on the legal writing and words that are used. But again, we're not going to get into the main depth and meats of the charter. Our goal for this class is to simply just know the purpose of the charter. Okay, I don't expect you to memorize each section and what they mean, but our goal here is just to understand that it protects our individual human rights and freedoms of its citizens here in Canada. Okay. Yes, it does talk about official languages too, where again, section 16, subsection 1, it recognizes that English and French are two official languages here in Canada. So again, very unique, important document. Again, can definitely come in handy if we know our rights as an individual. Something that I want to point out is that section 35, subsection 1, subsection 2, it recognized Aboriginal people rights here in Canada. This is the first time that Aboriginal rights have now constitutional protection and identities are now protected within the Canadian Constitution. Again, first time ever. I just want to read out subsection 1 and subsection 2. So again, section 35, subsection 1, and I quote, the existing Aboriginal and treaty rights of Aboriginal peoples of Canada are hereby recognized and affirmed. Definition of Aboriginal people of Canada, end quote. Then it moves on to subsection 2, where it says, and I quote, in this act, Aboriginal people of Canada includes Indian, Inuit, Métis, peoples of Canada, end quote. Again, this is the first time that, like I said, Aboriginal people and their identity, tradition, and culture are now have constitutional protection under the law against everything else. So again, huge moment, huge stepping stone for Aboriginal people, Indigenous, and their voices as well. Again, that's section 35. So again, if you go back to our anticipation guide, and if you're wondering if Aboriginal people rights are protected within the charter, you now know that it is yes. So again, whatever is outlined in the charter, it applies to everyone, even First Nations, Aboriginal, Indigenous peoples as well. So again, we're talking a lot about equality and equity. Again, something that really touches home for me based on all the studies I have done within special education. But again, this is always important that we want to emphasize in our learning centers, in our classroom, in our community, in terms of equity and equality. Does anyone know what equality and equity means? You may have heard of equality before, but any thoughts on equity? Any thoughts? Again, the picture does demonstrate an excellent representation of each definition. So in other words, equality simply means the same. See how everyone's standing on the same platform? Again, equality just simply means the same. But does equality always work? No, based on our illustration. Therefore, we need equity. Equity, in other words, mean what is fair or fairness. Again, see how everyone's able to see the baseball game due to equity. Again, it's all about being fair. Again, in our learning center, in our community, and in our classrooms, it's always important that we have equity before equality. What is fair before what is same or sameness? Okay, we all come from different backgrounds, culture, traditions, social economic status, history, culture, you name it. Therefore, it's important to recognize our differences so that we can establish what is fair first before what is the same. Yes, you must have fair in terms of, what we have, but again, it also relates to what is the same in terms of equality, the level of education and learning that we all have for one another. So again, something to keep in mind as you continue with your studies, as you move on, but again, it's not just about the sameness, but we got to be fair as well. So up until this point, we have talked lots about human rights, legal rights, fundamental rights, you name it, in regards to the Bill of Rights and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Now we kind of move into the second portion of this course in regards to defense purposes. So a new international era has occurred. Okay, so again, if you go back to your textbook, again, I don't want to miss that out, but starting on page 16, it does talk about, here we go, like I said, the Bill of Rights and the Charter of Rights and Freedom. Again, it does summarize it up briefly, but again, we did go a lot more in depth in class about the Bill of Rights and the Charter of Rights and Freedom. As you scroll down to page 17, that's where the new era begins. Again, we're going to talk about the UN, we're going to talk about NATO, and we're going to talk about NORAD as well. So that's what we're going to talk about for the next remainder of the class. Okay, the UN, NATO, and NORAD. Again, all about peacekeeping and defense organizations after the war. Again, that starts on page 17 within your textbook. All right, so let's try to finish things up, try to pick it up, as we do want to try to finish up here, okay? Again, any class questions, comments, concerns, just let me know, okay? Hopefully everything makes sense. Hopefully everything's exciting and that we're on a great pace. Good stuff. So after the post-war, Canada entered a period of more desire to participate in world affairs. Canada quickly became a nation of a major player on the world stage. So again, we'll talk about these three themes. UN, United Nations, NATO, and NORAD. So let's get to the first one, which is the United Nations, and otherwise the UN in bracket. The UN was created by numerous countries, Britain, United States, China, so forth. It's pretty much an expansion of the League of Nations that was not successful. Again, the same theme, same purpose emerged here. We have prevent future wars. Yes, we want to make sure that still happens. We don't want to see a World War III break out. We want to maintain international peace and security. We want to improve quality of life, promote world peace, not just here in Canada, but from around the world as well. We want to protect respect for basic human rights. Again, we should have a good understanding now of human rights based on what we talked about in regards to the Bill of Rights and the Charter. We want to work together to solve issues based on economic, social, cultural, and humanitarian as well, and develop friendly relationships with partners, nations around the world. So again, very similar to the League of Nations. Again, peace, peacekeeping, relationships. That's all we want to achieve. Yes, Canada is a part of the UN, United Nations, but our role within the UN is more specific in terms of peacekeeping. Okay, something that we can be proud of in terms of as Canadians, in terms of our roles as peacekeepers. Whereas we're willing to serve and uphold to prevent war, has an international reputation for fairness. Again, it demonstrates us moving away from the British Empire. So again, it all goes back to if there's conflicts or needs in around the world or in nations, Canada will step up and be there in terms of resolving that issue in a peaceful way. Okay, not there to cause conflict, but to solve issues in a peaceful mean. Supply food, supplies, aids, medicines when needed, but again, our role is mainly just peacekeeping within the UN. So NATO came into play in 1949. It still exists today. NATO stands for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. North Atlantic Treaty Organization. The purpose of NATO is that if the United States or any other European countries under NATO are under attack, other countries will have to come in and aid as well. So yes, Canada is a part of NATO. So again, NATO is all about protection, provision, preparation during this time period of the Cold War. It's basically made up of alliance of Christians and democratic countries. It was set up for the purpose of against the Soviet Union and the USSR in fear of communism during the Cold War period. Certain countries are excluded from NATO, some are allowed in. This is the first time that Canada signed a military treaty with NATO. Again, protection, provision, preparation. So again, on my screen, I have a map of the world in a way. Whatever countries that's highlighted in blue are a part of NATO. As you can see, 28 members countries around the world are under NATO. So again, you see United States, Canada, a lot of Western European countries are a part of NATO. And again, the purpose of NATO is that it's made up of an alliance. If something happens to our partnership, we'll come and help out and aid when a crisis emerge. So that's NATO. Again, Canada, United States, a lot of Western European countries. However, the Soviet Union, USSR respond to NATO by creating their own little groupie called the Warsaw Pact. It has the same purpose as NATO, but it just contains Eastern Europe or Eastern European countries along with modern-day Russia, otherwise known as the USSR or the Soviet Union. So again, the Warsaw Pacts are anything that's highlighted in red. So again, let's just see mainly just Western European countries and the Soviet Union. So again, nothing really came out of it, just fear, tensions, just getting ready if something did happen during this time period. NORAD, 1958. NORAD stands for the North American Aerospace Defense Command. This is where we see a lot of American influence being played within here in Canada. With NORAD, think of it as a radar system. So it monitors man-made objects in space, advanced missile technologies, radar, you name it. It provides warning signals against planes and missiles. Canadian publics agree with NORAD because we were in fear of attack and danger. What's unique about NORAD again is that it all reflects within American culture, Americanization, and American influence here in Canada. The NORAD is all basically United States. They operate here in Canada. The United States were allowed to control Canada's air forces without our approval or our permission. In the end, NORAD was very successful. But again, it does raise questions and eyebrows in regards to Canada's sovereignty and our relationship with the United States, as we're more heavily influenced by our neighbors down south in regards to how much we need them. So again, you see that again there are radar lines here in Canada and North America. You got the Pine Tree radar line, you got the Mid Canada radar line, and you have the Dual radar line here in Canada. Within each of these sectors, we have technology that anticipates and detect attacks, missile warning if they are happen from the Soviet Union. Again, Soviet Union over here. Again, they have bomb placed in Cuba. Again, we don't know if they were going to send off a nuclear bomb, missile technology, weapons, set off here in North America. So the purpose of these radar lines is to simply just to prevent warning. If something was coming away, we will destroy it so that it will protect our civilians. So that's the purpose of NORAD, okay? So to quickly sum things up, within regards to the 1950s, the Cold War period, in terms of what we talked about, all that fear and tension, spy, anticipation, threats, words used, but nothing really happened. It all happened until the 1990s, when the Berlin Wall fell in 1991, the Soviet Union eventually fell and collapsed, and communism eventually, in a way, ended. Again, in regard to 1950s and the 60s, Canada was in the period of the baby boom period. The baby boom, where about 40 million babies were born. Again, that was a huge effect to after the war as well. Okay. So again, you can find more information about the UN, NATO, NORAD within your textbook on page 17. So assignment number 6. Let's get to these questions, okay? Again, a lot of information to digest and to absorb. Again, hopefully all that will translate into your assignments as well. So question number 1 deals with Canada and in regards to the Bill of Rights and Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So why did Canada feel it was necessary to create the Bill of Rights and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms? Outline what these laws were designed to enforce. Okay. Question number 2, what has been the main function of the UN? Okay, just the purpose in general of the United Nations. Question 3 stands for what does NATO stand for and its purpose? And what does NORAD stand for and its purpose? And that's it. Okay, 4 short questions. Shouldn't take us that long. Again, it could take us about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to complete. It all depends. Okay, but again, continue to work on your assignments. If you have any questions, just let me know. Again, reminder class. Again, next week, myself, Barry, Andrea will be visiting Big Trout for our community visit on May 16th to the 17th. One short overnighter, which is next Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Therefore, our class, PLAR History Geography, at this time slot of 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time will be affected. Again, I'm giving the class a chance to vote and decide. Again, did you want to cancel class and do a makeup class, or did you want to do a pre-recorded class? Again, a cancel class, we'll just do a makeup class at a later date. Could be that Friday, who knows? Or it could be a pre-recorded class. The thing with a pre-recorded class is that we cannot answer questions or engage live in class, but we'll still play at our normal time slot from 4 to 5 on Tuesday. Okay? So again, you let me know what you want class. We'll decide next class this coming Thursday, and then we'll make a decision then. But again, think about it. Let me know this coming Thursday if you want to do a makeup class or do a pre-recorded class. Okay, choice is yours. Think about it. We'll decide it this coming Thursday. Okay. Next class, this coming Thursday, we will start a brand new lesson, lesson number 3. We're still focusing on history. We'll just talk more about 1960s. We'll talk about the Quebec Quiet Revolution period. We'll talk about English and French Canadian tensions. And then we'll wrap things up a week from today in regards to looking at more current and modern themes in regards to what happened after 1982 to modern day. Okay? Are there any questions, comments, concerns before we wrap things up? Again, a lot of information to digest and to absorb. Again, hopefully that all sink in. Again, work on those assignments. Get those tests done if you're eligible to write it. And we'll go from there. Alrighty? Yes, I know it's an exciting time where we have 6 more weeks for this term before summer. Yes, students at Pelican and DFC are wrapping things up this week, I believe. They're currently in exam mode and they'll be heading back to the community shortly afterwards. But again, very exciting. Okay, so again, hopefully you can use all that as a bit of motivation to get as much done as possible. Okay, don't wait till the last minute moments. Just get it done as much as you can. Okay, take that initiative, responsibility. Again, we do have to be accountable for our learning as well. Again, if you do need help, tutor, or whatever, you let me know. I'm here to help. I will accommodate and modify based on your needs and strengths as a learner. Okay? All right. We'll stop it here for tonight. You enjoy the rest of your evening. It does look like it's going to pour outside at some point here in Silico. If it does, stay dry, but I'll see everyone back here this coming Thursday. Thanks so much. Take care for now.